Perfect. So here we are with the Wednesday workshop, and we're going to be looking at a topic we've looked at before, but it's one that's always good to come back to because there's so many different things we can take from it and learn from it, and that is looking at mindfulness. And if you ask people about mindfulness, they'll say it's things like having a drink and being very aware of it, and it helps you relax. And yeah, and we've touched on mindfulness in that context in the past, and it does. Having taking 5 minutes to drink a nice cool drink on a hot day, where all you do is focus on the action and the process, is a form of meditation, and therefore is going to calm you down, just giving your mind that one thing to focus on. But the danger is with mindfulness, especially I think how often it gets pushed, is we can just think it's about relaxation or de-stressing. And actually, there's so much more to be gained from mindfulness. Mindfulness in its truest form is living in complete awareness of everything that is going on for you in your world, in a place of non-judgment, which means you can look at the ups and the downs, the challenges and the good times, and remain just steady amongst it. So the outside events might be doing this, but you're able to just stay in that good place. Isn't to say that things don't upset you, isn't to say things don't hurt, but all in all, it means you're able to maintain that middle line, that middle path. And with that awareness that the mindfulness brings us, we can also be very much aware of our feelings and our thoughts. And again, if we observe them, and our behaviors, if we observe them without judgment, without reacting to them, that then can become the first step and also a catalyst for personal change. If I'm working with someone coaching or therapy, quite often we will use detachment. In fact, I'm sure I've used it many times as part of the processes within the I Meditate workshops and sessions, where you're basically able to step outside of yourself and look at something with a more objective mindset. One of the ways we've done this, and I know we've done this, is that we will think of something like I don't know, something that's stressing you, something that's worrying you, but then rather than talk about that, because when we're talking about it, we can still be very much in it and part of it and not being able to step aside from it. So we'll do something along the lines of kind of, and this is a really good technique. I know last week we were looking at words and how we can use our words to help ourselves, but also help others. And this is a really, really good way. And I've got actually example from a wedding I was performing at a couple of weeks back of using this, where whatever the issue is, whatever the thing is, we'll call it the thing. So the example I'll use actually is I was at a wedding a couple of weeks back, 3 weeks back now, and a guy comes up to me and he's like, "You're a hypnotist. Do you just do like spider phobias, or can you help people get places and achieve stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, no, it's my kind of, that's how I like working. It's always about getting someone somewhere and achieving something, whether that's achieving the ability to not be afraid of spiders or getting that promotion at work. It's all about moving forward and growing." And he said, "Well, I've got this thing with work." He said, "I know where I want to be, but there's something in the way." And I'm like, "Something?" And he went, "Yeah, all right, it's me." I mean, that's the first stage in is getting somebody to actually own that they are probably the reason they're not getting where they want to get. which takes a certain level of awareness and mindfulness. Because whilst we're blaming other people and the events around us for our problems, we're not living with mindful awareness. We're not being aware of the real reasons why maybe we're not getting where we want to get. So I said to him, I said, look, so we'll book an appointment and chat, but just go ahead with this for now. So there's this block. Don't know what that is. And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, where do you feel it? And I know we've used this in past sessions. Where are you feeling that block? And he was like, oh, it's kind of here. I'm like, okay. And you're doing a round movement with your hand. Is it a circular thing? And he's like, yeah, there is. I said, what color is that? And he's like, oh, it's black. So we've got this black circle sitting just here. And he's like, yeah. So, okay, in your mind's eye, just push it out so it's about arm's length away. So he did, and I'm like, how does that feel? Now it's there. He's like, that's less intense. Oh, that's interesting, is it not? Okay. Push it to the end of the gardens. We were at this hall, lovely venue. Push it to the edge of the gardens over there. So he did. I said, how's that now? He said, wow, that's so much lighter. That's so okay. Well, over there, a few fields away, there's a nice looking oak tree. Go and sit it over there by the oak tree. So he pushes it all the way over to the oak tree. We still don't even know what it is. It's a block. That's all we know. And so we push it all the way over there. And he's like, wow, that's it. I mean, I guess, do you feel like you could go for that position, that thing you're after with your work now? And he's like, probably. Well, that's not, probably it's not good enough, is it really? I said, you see the hill? Push it over the other side of the hill so you no longer see it and it cannot bother you again. So he pushes this in his mind all the way over the hill. I said, now where's that block? Pointing back to him. And he's like, that there. It's not there. Okay, so if it's not there, you can go and do this thing you need to do to get where you need to get, right? And he's like, yeah, I can do it. I mean, you're sure you can do that? Yeah, I'm sure. And what have we done? Really, we've created a moment of mindful awareness where suddenly he's not focusing on anything other than whatever that feeling is within him that is that blockness. And because sometimes it can be difficult to find the words to describe it or what that feeling is, we can be aware of it in other ways. So we made him aware of it by giving it a shape and a color. So now we have a symbol, a representation of the thing, which he's very much focusing on. In fact, he's focusing all his attention on it, which is no different than when you're focusing on your drink, doing mindfulness exercises, you're giving it all your attention and you're paying attention to what's going on within you. So then we send it outside. And what's the first thing to do? How's it feel now it's out there? So we're saying that whatever that block was is now out there, but I'm checking in with him. When you think of it out there, how are you feeling now? And that is what mindfulness is about. It's about how are you feeling now? But because the thing is out there, he's now distanced from it. So he's not judging it. He's just looking at it from the perspective of what is it like whilst it's out there? I'm not asking him what he thinks about it. I'm not asking anything other than what's that feeling now it's out there? So he's not judging it. He's literally just describing the experience, which is an act of mindfulness. It's an act of being in the moment, of being aware. In Celtic spirituality and within Celtic Christianity, there is that the concept, the idea of living in the awareness of God. And actually, when you look at what that means, it's living mindfully. It's being, rather than just working through life automatically without thought, without whatever, it's about being aware of our feelings, our emotions, and our connection to everything, all in the moment. And obviously this isn't something that you kind of just do and then it happens forever. But there are ways that you can benefit and help that level of awareness, that level of mindfulness. And the key thing, the key element is, let me think of something. So we've got Ellesmere just up the road. Beautiful place. Got the mere. You got all the ducks and the geese and whatever other birds happen to be on the mere at the time. And sometimes it's very possible to just go and sit up there on a bench or in the park on the grass overlooking the mere and just watch the birds. And in your mind, you're not going, there's a duck. I don't like looking at that one. It looks a bit angry. You're not going, there's a goose. I wonder if it's going to come up and chase me up the field. You're not judging or labeling anything. You're just, it's almost, I'd use it. It's probably not the best way of describing it. It's a brains out moment. It's a brains out moment where you just sat there going, and everything that's going on in front of you, you are literally the observer. You're not labeling it. You're not going, oh, that's a mallard. That's a muscovy. Trying to remember my ducks now. That's the only two ducks I can remember. There's an Indian runner. There you go. There's another one. You're not doing that. You're not going, oh, look, there's a cloud in the sky. Oh, look, there's the ripples. You are literally just watching with no thought. And in mindfulness, the aim is to be able to look at ourselves sitting on a beach wall and listening to the sea roll in and out. Yeah, another moment where you're not labeling, you're not doing anything other than observing that moment for what it is. Because the moment you start going, well, that's a big wave, that's a small wave, oh, look, there goes a seagull, better hide my ice cream. The moment you start doing that, that breaks that moment. So with mindfulness, we're taking that and we're turning it within. We're looking within and being aware of what emotion's going on for us. But we don't, like the ducks, we're not going, oh, look, there's a bit of upset. There's a bit of joy. We're literally just watching, like the waves, like the ducks, just allowing it to be there. And that's one of the ultimate aims of mindfulness, is to be able to live our lives in that place where we are the observer. And I remember, it's got to be getting on for 20 years ago. And I got very interested in the whole Hare Krishna movement and was very intrigued because part of the fundamental practice of that is throughout all your waking hours, you're repeating the mantra, the Hare Krishna chant. And part of me was curious as to whether that could actually be done, although the more I looked into it, it's not, if you have to engage with somebody and you're doing something, you're not consciously doing it then, but the moment that moment finishes, you go straight back into it. So part of me was curious about whether that was possible, and I do like a challenge when it comes to inner work. So I was like, okay, let's go for this. And part of me then wondered, well, what's the experience that doing that does? And so I started doing that, and initially it is, you find yourself not doing it, and but then you kind of, after a few weeks, you wake up, and the first thing that happens. So I just think about waking up and start yawning. There's the power of suggestion. You wake up, and my mind instantly, without any effort, was just straight into that mantra, and it started becoming just like a habit, something that just started happening automatically. And if I wasn't having to do something, if my mind wasn't having to focus on something, it was there. And it was there so much in those quieter times that I even knew it was there in the busier times going around in the background. It was just like somebody fading in and out the volume. After about 6 months of this, I'm driving back in the car one day, And suddenly there's this shift, really interesting shift. The sky, I just became so aware of the vastness of the sky above me. I can still picture the stretch of road where it happened because I had to pull in. It was such a shift in my head. I had to pull in because I didn't feel right driving. And I got out and I just sat on the bonnet of the car and I looked up and there was this vastness. The sky was vast. It was amazing, strange, but amazing experience. And but then I started thinking about the people in my life that meant stuff to me. And I'd stepped into a state of detached mind. And at that age, where was I? Kind of late 20s, maybe beginning of the 30s. That freaked me out a bit because all of a sudden there was this gap. And my studies and everything since then have said, well, that's okay because mindfulness and that mindful awareness and living mindfully, it creates detachment, but detachment doesn't mean an absence of love and caring. Actually, that detachment allows more space for love and caring. But when I first experienced it, it was quite an unusual experience. And so with mindfulness, we're wanting to get to that point where we are the observer of ourselves. So, for example, in a situation where maybe somebody's being, I don't know, maybe we're out somewhere and there's some really bad customer service. Because we have that slight detachment, because we're in that mindful state, we see as it starts to arise that frustration that's going to become the anger that means we might end up snapping and kind of getting argumentative with the waiter or whatever it is. And because then we are aware of it the moment it starts, that awareness then also gives us the choice to not react that way. And it's at that point where mindfulness becomes a powerful tool for personal change, because we can look at the situations in our lives from a mindful perspective. We can look at those challenges, the difficulties, the obstacles with that slight detached mindful awareness. And rather than being affected by the emotion of whatever that challenge is, suddenly we can actually see it almost like the bigger picture. We see the whole picture, and our understanding and our perspective of that situation shifts. And that in turn, because we're able to sit back and go, oh, look, there's that bit of anger coming up, or there's that bit of sadness coming up, or there's that reaction that I always do that ends up with me in this situation that I'm tired of being in. But because we're living with that mindful awareness, and because we're in that place, we're not acting so emotionally, we're able to stay calm and act from a more holistic, more, what's the word? From a higher place, from a higher self, from a more righteous isn't the word. Just from a better place. Let's not think of big words. It's obviously warm and my brain's decided not to work. So we act from a better place because we're not acting emotionally. We've stopped being reactionary and now we take action according to what we're observing, which means our life and our interactions with life improves our ability to see opportunities and understand possible ways of getting where we want to improve. All this is a little bit more than the usual mindfulness, relaxation, and stress relief that we quite often get put. And so what I want to do is take us through an I meditate thing. I always call it a thing. I won't define it. An experience to help plant some of the seeds of that greater awareness, that ability to act from that place of self rather than that, say, a place of emotion and reaction. So, as I'm doing it, I'm going to ask you to have a fidget to get comfortable. If somebody's watching this for the first time and you've never done this before, I probably will be asking you along the way to picture and imagine things. Do not worry about it if you don't get it like a movie in your head. I'd say 60% of people don't. But if you know what I'm talking about and you're thinking about it, that's all. And just that, then that's perfect. If you can see it, that's perfect. If you get more of a sense of it, that's perfect. Whatever's right for you and however you do this will be the way that you get the most from it. And we'll begin by taking 3 deep breaths together. And I don't want you to close your eyes and relax on the first breath. I don't want you to close your eyes and relax on the second breath, but you may close your eyes and begin to relax on the third breath to get the most out of this. Taking a deep breath in. Hold it. And breathe out. Taking a second deep breath in. Hold it. And breathe out. Taking a third wonderful deep breath in. Hold it. And breathing out. Allowing your eyes to close just in the time you need to take to relax. And there really is nothing to do, just relax. The more you relax, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you can relax. And there should be nothing about this that feels like you're doing anything, because you're doing nothing listening to this and just following easily and effortlessly. And I want you to become aware of that place within you that feels most comfortable, most relaxed. Wherever that is for you. Now, I don't know where that is that you begin to notice that now. That comfort, relaxation. But wherever it is that you begin to notice that, allow that feeling to spin and flow within you. As you continue to relax, aware of the room about you, where you're sitting or lying, and the sound of my voice, as you continue to let go, to go within. And you know what it means to go out. And you know what it means to be still. And you know what it means to breathe. And so you can relax and go within even deeper. Every place that is here, every time that's like this, so much more now than whatever that was before. Relaxing deeper. And I just wonder how maybe you can be even more relaxed than this now, as we count down from 5 to 1. 5, letting go. 4, drifting, floating through time and space. 3, to allow yourself to relax, to go deeper than one thought you could beyond that. And our awareness is a wonderful gift. From the moment we are born, it accompanies us. Like the awareness of your left foot. And you may not know how you become aware of that left foot now. But just as you do so, just observe it. Don't judge it. Don't comment on it. Just be in the awareness of that left foot now. And observe what feeling is there as you're aware of that left foot. Feeling aware and aware of that feeling. Without judgment. Just notice that now. And if I were to say right foot, your awareness, without you knowing how, just would follow across to your right foot. And you can be aware of your left and your right foot. Without judgment, without commentary. Just aware and observing. Watching those feet like waves rolling on the ocean. There really is nothing to do, just observe, be aware of. And no one ever taught you how to do this, but you can just begin to discover how much more aware, without judgment, you can be. Through each step that we go through. And sometimes when we meditate, we kneel, and you could become aware of your knees and the lower part of your leg, the shin, the calf. Again, no judgment, no commentary, just that you are aware now of your lower legs. With nothing to say or do about them. Just noticing any sensations, any feelings. And if we were to think of an arm, I don't know which arm you would think of first, but whichever arm you're aware of now, just watch it, observe it. Notice the temperature, but don't label it, don't judge it. Notice any tinglings, any sensations. Whether that arm feels heavy or light, but just observe. And as you became aware of one arm, you might as well become aware of the other arm as well. Each new awareness teaching you a little bit, even if you're not consciously aware of that yet, about just how you can observe and learn from your inner world just by watching and observing. And I remember once having gone on a bushcraft course where they taught us how to create owl eyes, and you would crouch or sit with your back to a tree, and you'd sit still, and you'd unfocus your eyes until you were looking as far to the periphery as possible, taking in a wider vision, seeing more than what you were seeing before as you're being still. After a while, a number of different birds flew down onto the grass before me, and they did not know I was there, or if they did, they were unaffected by my presence. Had I focused on one, had I consciously gone, there's a robin or there's a blackbird, I know that that moment would have gone. Because when you're seeing more, you get to see those things that would have gone hidden or missed in the busyness of the everyday. Much to my amazement, a family of badgers, and slightly nervousness, may I add, trundled past. And there I was, just observing. I didn't in that moment give them a label. I just watched and observed. And through my stillness and through that non-judgment and that non-action, I was able to be more aware of their presence, to see and experience them close up. They were a leg's length away from me. And they snuffled and huffled by. And I wonder just how much more aware of those things going on within you, within your mind and your heart, within your life, you can be aware of. As that part of your mind that learns can become more aware of just observing, watching and being aware without judgment. I remember sitting on that hillside watching those badgers for what felt like an eternity. Just sat there on rolling hills, which reminds me of a quiet village nestled between rolling hills. And there was a garden there. It was quite unlike any other. I mean, this garden was known as the Garden of Presence. And it was said that those who wandered into this garden would discover something remarkable within themselves, a deep and profound awareness that brought peace and clarity to their lives. And so the story goes, one day a traveller, weary from the noise and chaos of the world, arrived at the village. Hearing of the garden's wonders, he decided to visit, hoping to find the peace he longed for. And as he stepped through the arched gate, he was immediately struck by the beauty and serenity around him. The air was fresh, filled with the scent of blooming flowers. and the gentle sound of a nearby stream whispered softly to his ears. And the traveller began to wander through the garden, his mind still buzzing with the thoughts and worries he had carried with him. But as he walked, he noticed something curious. The more he focused on the sights, sounds, and sensations around him, the quieter his mind became. He felt the warmth of the sun on his skin, noticed the vibrant colours of the flowers, and listened to the gentle rustling of the leaves in the breeze. As he continued, he came upon an ancient tree at the heart of the garden. Its roots were deep and its branches spread wide, offering shade and comfort. The traveller felt just drawn to the tree, sensing it just had something special, a secret. So he sat beneath it and closed his eyes and took a deep breath. And within that moment, a realization washed over him. He'd been so focused on searching for peace outside of himself that he'd overlooked the peace that was always within. The garden, with its quiet beauty, had simply helped remember. I felt a deep connection to the present moment, to life all around, and to the life within himself. And sitting there, he knew that his sense of presence was something he could carry with him wherever he went. He could always return to this place of peace simply by focusing on the here and now, letting go of distractions and embracing the moment with full awareness. The traveller left the garden with a lighter heart, feeling more alive and connected than ever before. Realized that mindfulness was not a destination, but a journey. A gentle path he could walk every day, discovering new levels of self-awareness and mindfulness, living with each step. And so, with each breath, with each moment, he continued to explore his newfound awareness, knowing that the power of the presence was always within his reach, ready to guide him toward a life of peace, clarity, and deep connection to the world around him. And it amazed me how those badgers were so comfortable to be around me. And the longer I sat there, more captured by the birds, the badgers, and the sun was beginning to set. I realized there was no thought, there was nothing to do. Just be there. However, in my awareness, I also became aware of pins and needles in my foot. And in that moment, I felt the need to move, to do something more, because I judged that pins and needles was a bad thing. And therefore, it broke that moment for me. Whereas if you just observe without judgment, you can see all things from a place of peace and calm. And as I wiggled my toe to just try and ease that tingling, the bat just became aware of my presence and scurried off. And the birds that had been around, well, they were still around, but they were back up in the trees rather than hopping about up and down. And so I headed back, and you can maybe be aware. Bring your awareness to your back, the lower back, the upper back, without judgment, without commentary, just being aware now. And then shift that awareness, the entirety of your body, the tip of the toe to the top of the head. Every little sensation, every sense of the heartbeat, the sense of the breath, just not judging, just observing. And be aware of your emotions. Observe your emotions. Again, don't judge, don't label. Just be aware of feeling. And if there are thoughts, just be aware of thoughts. Just don't label them, don't hold on to them, just observe. Observe if parts of the body react to the thoughts, and what is that feeling, without labeling it, without judging it. Are there thoughts that create emotions? Emotions that create actions? Each and every day, I wonder whether you may start to be living in a greater and deeper awareness, observing the rise and fall of thoughts and emotions, of behaviors, and being able to see more of them now, knowing the best way to move forward through that greater awareness. Just like waves on a beach, when they're lapping up, just sitting there watching them, or like ducks on a pond. Just that brains out moment, just for a while. And the awareness returns, as it returns to us, as we return to now. More in the now, more in the moment, more alive in this time, in this place. And when you're ready to embrace that moment even more, when you're ready to experience that moment in all its richness and every other moment, then you can begin to return, and that part of you that learns can learn everything it needs to and know everything it needs to know, even if you're not consciously aware of that yet, that allows you to discover a deeper clarity in each moment of life, reliving more richly, more fully, greater mindfulness and awareness. When you're ready to do that and feel great for the rest of the week, then and only then have a stretch, have a fidget, return back to here feeling good, feeling now. When you're back, just give me a wave to let me know. There we go.